Hello orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a CareCollab about these beauties, and believe it or not, there are loads of people having these. So I'm collaborating with quite a few channels today. So let me read them all out for you because honestly I could not remember so many names. So it's Ninja Orchids, Danny's Orchid Journey, Attainable Green, Svetlana Orchid Passions in Dutchland, Honeybees and Orchids, Fernanda Nascimento, Orchids and Succulents, Tropical Plants Finland, and Lynn Smith, and of course me. So yeah, quite a few people are collaborating, and we wanted to talk about Dendrobium nobile in general. So there are so many hybrids out there and so many people have these orchids. I'm not sure about other places in the world, but at least in Scotland you can get this in a supermarket or in a DIY store. They're super available. So a lot of people have them, and honestly a lot of people don't even know it's an orchid because it doesn't look like Phalaenopsis orchid, which is very popular. And you know, when I saw it first time and I didn't know much about orchids, I also didn't believe that this is an orchid. Yeah, I can see why you know, why people kind of see that Phalaenopsis orchids are the only orchids out there. They're just so popular. So I got this quite early in my collection. Of course, Phalaenopsis was my first orchid, but this beauty here was my second ever orchid I got. And yeah, I had it for over a year now. It came with this one cane here and it was in bloom at that time. It dropped the blooms soon after, and it basically then started growing a keiki. And I took that keiki off, which was this little guy here. It's difficult to see now because it's just going crazy, but it's this guy here. I took it off and planted it separately, and then after this main plant got some rest, it then started working on this cane, and this cane bloomed this year, and it's now working on another 2 growths. So if I take you in closer, you can see there is a new cane here and another smaller one over there. I recently repotted this orchid and I will link the video down below so you can have a look if you're interested, but it was previously in a 15 centimeter pot, and this is now 13 centimeter pot. You can see in that video I was quite radical with this one. I basically cut away about half of its roots, and they were all viable and live, but that pot was just way too big for it because it just did not dry out at all. And to be honest, even this one doesn't dry out very fast, but I just could not cut any more roots. And you know, this pot is full of roots. You can see some on the side of the pot, but there is loads of them in the middle of the pot as well, but I just could not cut any more. And I don't know, I think maybe this plant is slightly set back now because these new growths are not growing as fast, but I'm sure it will be okay. Once these new growths start pushing out new roots, then it will just be totally fine. And this little keiki, so after its rest, it started working on a new growth, which is this one here. It also started pushing something out, and at first it was a little nub, and I thought, oh, maybe it will start blooming, although it is quite low down on the cane. You know, usually the blooms would come in between the leaves, and it turned out to be a keiki. At first I thought, okay, I'll take it off, you know, plant it up, but because it's so low down, I thought, let's see what happens if I don't cut it off. And as you can see, it's growing its own roots and it's pushing them down into the media, so most of the roots are now in the pot. So it will be able to get the food and everything from the pot, so it won't need basically the mother plant's energy to be able to grow. So these two guys are now basically just racing each other and trying to see which one will grow better. I think the new growth is winning at the moment because it's got slightly bigger leaves. I can see another leaf growing inside as well, but this one has got a third leaf there as well. So they're both doing super well. So I'm just gonna leave it like that and see what happens. And it will just be, you know, a dendrobium with two canes basically. So I'm not gonna treat it as a keiki, I'll just treat it as one plant with two growths. So in terms of care, what I do with them is, these are planted in bark and some perlite. This one has actually got quite a lot of moss in it as well, which I'm not a big fan of right now. You know, when I got these plants at the very beginning of my orchid journey, I didn't know any better or how to care for them. And you know, I saw some videos that you mixed up bark and moss, and I thought, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So that's what I did. But I noticed that basically in autumn and winter, the spot just stays too wet. So I would like to get this repotted into a less water retentive media. I am based in Scotland, so we don't have very hot days, and humidity is not high here either, and I grow everything inside in my room. So yeah, they don't get too much fresh air. I try and keep the window open as much as I can, especially during summer and spring. But during winter I can't really keep the window open because we can even have snow and it's way too cold for orchids, so they don't really get much fresh air. I grow them, as I said, in my room, so they just sit on the shelves under lamps, so under artificial light. They don't get any direct sunlight, and yeah, it's and I grow them mainly in organic media. This guy here, as I say, was, you know, recently repotted, and what I started recently doing is I would put the leca at the bottom, so there is a layer of leca, and it's inorganic media, so it means that it doesn't degrade. And as you can see, it's got microfiber through as well, and I keep this saucer and there is a bit of water in here. So the pot would sit like that, and this microfiber will wick the water through to keep this pot moist a little bit longer. So once I stopped using moss, the pots would actually dry out really, really quickly. So that's what I'm doing to try and, you know, let the water sit in the pot a little bit longer. These guys quite enjoy a wet dry cycle, so the root system would quite like to you know, stay dry for a day or two. So that's why I quite like using the transparent pot, so that I can see exactly what's going on in the pot, and I can see now that there is quite a lot of moisture in the pot, so I know I definitely don't need to water. But by using this method, also if it is, you know, I can easily see if this tray is completely dry, then I will add some water in spring and summer when it's growing season for these guys. During winter, or you know, they quite like to take some rest, so I would tone down on the watering. I don't stop it completely. I still water my dendrobiums a little bit, but definitely not as much as during summer. So during winter, I think I would water them maybe once every 3 weeks. And it would just be a little drizzle. I wouldn't soak the pot with water. So just a little bit of drizzle, just to get, you know, give roots a little bit of water, a bit of a drink, no fertilizer, just plain water. And then during growing season, I fertilize my orchids pretty much all the time. And I think that I have covered everything. But if you have any questions, please let me know, you know, comment in the comment section below, and I'll make sure I reply as soon as I can. And make sure you check out those other channels. So much information about these guys, and they are so popular as well. So if you've got one of these, don't worry, it is a very easy orchid to grow. If you're totally new to orchids and, you know, this is one of the orchids you've got and you don't really know what to do, just honestly feel free to ask any questions. Just let me know what kind of environment you live in, because, you know, sometimes if I say strong light, I'm in Scotland, so for me strong light is probably bright shade somewhere in somewhere maybe in Spain, where the sun is way hotter and way brighter than here in Scotland. So I hope this video was useful, and yeah, have a great day guys. See you later. Bye.